Ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters, friends, enemies, and comrades, I hope you're doing well wherever you are. Excuse me. This is Kenya Revolutionary Friday. That's what I meant to say. Today is Friday. But anyway, karibuni sana. I have a topic that I want to explore here. Now, just a quick disclaimer on this particular video. The official news, the official reason for Raila's unfortunate departure, depending on who you're asking, is that he suffered a heart attack while he was having his morning run in India, where he went to receive treatment. There are a lot of theories around his death. Okay, there are people who are talking about this guy actually died few weeks ago in his home in Nairobi. Historia, when India is just Java, it's just a cover up for people to, it was meant to actually, break the news in a way that it won't destabilize the peace and security of the country, Kenya. But today, I just want to explore something else. A grand conspiracy. Who may have wanted Raila Odinga eliminated? Who wanted Raila eliminated? I have three main suspects. Listen, this video is all about conjecture. It's my opinion. It's my theory. It's not the gospel truth. So take it with a pinch of salt. Don't take it as gospel truth so that you don't take me to court and say, hey, listen, I'm not trying to make people to be angry at these particular individuals that I'm going to name or particular powers that be. I'm just saying, speculating, okay? I'm giving my opinion, okay? This is all for exploration, your mental, intellectual exploration into this this issue, okay? This matter, Raila's death, to be precise. So for those of you who don't know who I am, I'm Kenya Revolutionary. That's my name. That's the name of my channel. If you haven't subscribed yet, go to my channel real quick. Subscribe, share, comment, do all the good stuff. If you're watching me from X, go ahead and put that, follow me. Follow me on my X, and you can like and, do all the good stuff. Karibu sana, I see you, Gypsy Corner. Nice seeing you, nice seeing you. So let's get to it. Again, my gadget does not have a lot of juice, so I will try to be as quick as possible, all right? For those of you who have already subscribed, the first order of business is to like the video, okay? And make sure the bell button is always on, so when I come in, you can get me here, okay? All right, let's get to it. Grand conspiracy. Who wanted Raila Odinga eliminated? Like I mentioned, the news surrounding Raila Odinga's death kind of was disjointed. It wasn't quite corroborating. Things didn't make sense. Now, thank you so much, Goodia, for liking the video. Like I said, guys, oh shoot. All right. Like I first stated, okay, the news surrounding Raila Odinga didn't quite make sense. The news in India of his death in India, the caskets, the casket gate. Now I call it casket gate. There are people who are asking. Remember, in my previous video, I asked, when I was looking at those videos when his body was in India, first of all, his body was covered in India, and the way he was being moved around like he wasn't a dignitary, and the hospital itself seems like no offense to the Indian brothers and sisters who live in India, but that hospital, for somebody of Raila's stature, I wouldn't expect him to see him in a dingy, dodgy hospital somewhere in India, an obscure part of the earth. I would expect him to go to a really major hospital. Then if you look at the casket that they put him in, the initial casket that was in India, it was weird. It was weird. And another thing too, I wish I had my my laptop so I can play you guys some clips. Notice remember those Wakina Murkomen, Hassan Joho, when they went to India? Notice when they surrounded the casket. Well, the picture that were being showed, the cameraman was trying so hard not to show the expression on the faces of Hassan Joho, Sakaja, and everyone else. In fact, there's a if you study that clip carefully, you'll see that Hassan Joho was almost busting out laughing because he found something funny, which I don't know what was funny about it. But again, just study that casket, look at Raila's body size, study the ambulance. When there's another clip where it shows where his bodyguard, what's his name? I forgot, Maurice something, Maurice Ogeto, I think that's his name, right? Notice when he comes out of that little dingy ambulance and look at how the casket was tilted. The casket seems that initial casket looked a little bit too small to hold Raila's body. Raila is, he wasn't a small man. His frame, okay? Again, Gypsy Corner is telling me nothing makes sense in Kenya, but Ruth Odinga cleared everything on her IG, different from what we're told. Okay, I will pay attention to that. I haven't heard anything. I know, I understand the memorial or whatever the case is, the state, whatever is happening at Nyayo Stadium. I wasn't really looking forward to listen to what everybody will say, except I saw the clip by that, was it a pastor or father or bishop, whatever the case is, where he was like, hey, if you've been looting from the public coffers, whether you are a governor or you are a whatever, you are going to face condemnation. So I thought that was really, it's going viral actually, which I think was something that needed to be said anyway, but that's not what I'm here for. Let's get to it. I like this, Nino. Let me just highlight this, what Gypsy is saying here. For those of you who haven't, Nino, you can go watch Ruth Odinga, what he was saying about Nino. I don't know. Goodyear, can you just briefly tell us in the chat what Ruth Odinga did say? Because I didn't even know she has a IG, Instagram. But anyway, let me go with this. 3 people, 3 entities, 3 individuals, 3, not individuals, but 3 people that I would, if working the video was vintage, the working was, oh, okay. All right. So let me get started because I've been waffling around. Let's start with suspect number 1. Suspect number 1, if there was anyone who would want Raila Odinga eliminated, William Samoei Ruto. Let me explain real quick. Okay? There were some people, rumors among some quarters, who were saying that it was rumored that Raila was engineering an exit from the UDA ODM political arrangement that they got into. That's memorandum, MOU, memorandum of understanding, or whatever the case is. It was rumored that Raila Odinga was thinking about bolting out, and everybody expected him before 2027 he was going to leave Ruto. Actually, the clearest indication that Raila was going to leave this MOU with UDA was when he started saying that, who told you that in 2027 ODM will not floor a presidential candidate? Clearly indicating that in 2027 ODM was going to have its own presidential candidate. And if ODM was going to have its own presidential candidate, of course, they cannot still stick to that MOU with UDA, which means at some point before 2027 elections, they were going to divorce from this arrangement. So obviously, down the road, maybe a few months, if Raila would have made it and was alive, maybe next year, ODM would have ended this relationship with UDA or this political deal that they had, this blood-based government. And again, it's not far from the truth because historically we've seen Raila Odinga in his handshakes. The handshakes always last up to a few months to the next general election when he breaks off from the handshake, then runs again, then you know the cycle, okay? So how would Ruto be the suspect in this, or would be play a role in this? What was in it for Ruto if Raila was to be eliminated out of the way? This is how it plays out, okay? Ruto got into a handshake with Raila because he understood, of course, Raila has the influence of the majority of the people, not majority, let me fix that. Raila has enough, the capability of engineering, again, I'm using that pun intended, engineering protest, nationwide protest. It doesn't have to be nationwide, but enough chaos, enough to bring chaos. He has supporters that can cause enough chaos to force the government or to make Ruto's regime, the country, ungovernable. You understand? So bringing Raila in, he didn't do it out of his good heart. Oh, I like this country very much. Let me bring Raila so we can work together and we can have a wonderful, peaceful country. No, 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 no. He did this out of necessity because Raila Odinga wanted what he wanted, and he used his lieutenants on the streets to cause chaos, to force Ruto into signing a working agreement. That's why Joe Homebody and all these clowns he joined in the executive branch of government. So you see what I'm saying? Okay? So Raila had the keys. He always uses his supporters to get whatever he wants. You can see, go back to that day when Ruto was signing that KICC arrangement with ODM and UDA. Ruto looked defeated. He seemed like he didn't want to be in this thing. It was like he was forced to go out there, and hata ukiangalia sura yake, it was like he was almost crying. He didn't like it. He wasn't a fan of it, obviously, because it gives Raila the leverage. Raila had power over him. Raila was actually the de facto president of Kenya. Okay? Ruto was just running around, saying what he say, but if Raila wants something, he gets it. The same thing during Uhuru Kenyatta's regime. Once Raila came to the handshake, remember what everyone was saying? Everyone was saying that Raila is the co-president. He was whatever he wants. He was getting the red carpet. When he said go, and Kenyatta would not disagree, okay? Because Raila had the juice. He had the people, okay? So Ruto used Raila to survive the political protests that were happening. He used Raila's supporters, Raila's influence, to help him stabilize the country, because Ruto was facing a popular revolution. The Gen Z were going to take him out. Okay? So Ruto brought in Raila to fortify, help stabilize, okay? So he can survive, he can have some semblance of peace in Kenya, okay? It's not necessarily that Ruto was counting on on Nyanza for votes, but now he can, but he wasn't counting on it. His number one aim for keeping Raila Odinga by his side was for him not to be removed through a popular revolution, because that's what Ruto fears. Okay, and I will explain to you in a minute. Like the video, ladies and gentlemen. I'll explain to you in a minute, okay? He brought him up so Raila, with his influence on the streets, Magunzwake, together with the police forces, they can actually pacify and intimidate these Gen Zs into not having a successful popular revolution that was about to take place, the Occupy State House. Okay? So Ruto used Raila in that sense. Now you might be asking, okay, if he was using Raila and Raila was stabilizing his government, why then would he want Raila dead then, if Raila was useful to him? Raila's usefulness to Ruto had expired. You understand? I'll explain to you why. See, there are three main things that were holding Ruto, that made Ruto survive, and he has been strengthening these three things, and I'll explain to you how. Ruto, what made Ruto survive in June 25th, 2024 were three things, and he's still relying on these three things. Ruto was saved by the bell. I'm joking. Ruto was saved by the commercial activists that are in his payroll through the NIS. Okay? Listen to me. That's the level one. Ruto was saved by the commercial activists who infiltrated the movement on the ground that diverted the attention of the Gen Zs on the ground. Once they successfully invaded the parliament and they were trying to head at the State House, the commercial activists who were NIS agents, who at the time Gen Zs thought they were part of the Gen Z movement, started telling people to do what? Tusiende State House, huko mtauliwa, it's dangerous, tuendeni nyumbani. And the sad thing is that when people decided to go home, that's when a lot of people died, got killed by the police. Okay? But the goal was to go to State House. So those are the number one people who saved and gave Ruto a breathing room. That's number one. Number two is the security apparatus. The police. Walikuwa wanachinja watu. Once the Boniface Mwangis and Hanifas and the paid commercials, and the paid commercial activists diverted, were able to manipulate, distract the focus of the Gen Zs from going to State House, telling them to go home. Ruto reinforced that by bringing out the police at night. Those are the second level of protection that Ruto has. The third level of protection that Ruto has, because on that June 25th, 2024, Ruto realized that the police are not enough to stop the Gen Zs, because the Gen Zs overwhelmed the police forces that he ordered to go out there and shoot these young men and women down. So the Ruto has his last line of defense, which is now going to take the place of Raila Odinga. Okay? Which are the military. The military, not as a whole, but he wants to make sure that he has enough grip and influence within the military where he's assured next time they go to the streets, they will carry out his orders. Okay? Now, if you're still doubting me, listen to me. If you're still doubting me, ask yourself why all of a sudden we have military recruitment, army recruitment going on. The army recruitment is being done, and you can hear people complain that the army is only recruiting people from a certain region, and some other region you don't get much recruitment. Internet. It is because the army, the military are going to be William Samoei Ruto's last line of defense. Because before the army, it was Raila Odinga and his goons, his influence. But Raila Odinga is an inconvenience. Raila Odinga is an impediment. Raila Odinga is an extortionist. Okay? He will help you, but mpaka utoe kitu kidogo. And you have to meet his demands, which is you have to put his friends, his handpicked friends, to join the government. Okay? Na nataka laws zengine zichangiwe, and he wants such and such change, and he also wants payment on top of that. You want me to prove it to you? Remember, unakumbuka when Dedan Kimathi's wife passed away in his funeral? When Ruto started talking. Unakumbuka vile Ruto took the stage? Okay? Ruto, what did Ruto say? Ruto alianza kusema, huyu mzee nimejua kitu namsumbua. Tunapelekana hivi, but ni sawa. Mimi nitampanga hivyo, tutaongea, tutakaa chini, tuongee, nitamwacha aendelee na maandamano yake. Akimaliza, najua nini namsumbua. Tutakaa chini hapo tuongee, ni tupangane, mpange hivi, then everything will be okay. You think you're doubting what I'm saying? Go look at Ruto's speech in that Dedan Kimathi's wife funeral. To reinforce that, remember what Gachagua said a few weeks ago. Gachagua told us in his rants, he said, Ruto told me, Ruto aliniambia, mimi nimejua shida ya mzee. Gachagua, nice seeing you, Alicia. Make sure you like and subscribe. Gachagua told us, mimi nimejua shida. Gachagua told us that Ruto told him while he was DP, ati mimi nimejua hili kitu inasumbuanga mzee. Mzee anataka tu pesa. Sasa mimi nitampanga hivi. Yeah, Brother Benson, sorry I would have put you on, but my gadget imebaki car, like I have like 20% left. So I'm trying to rush through this, but I'll have another session and I'll put you in. But nice seeing you, Brother Benson. So Gachagua was telling us, mzee nimejua nini inamsumbua. Anataka pesa. That's what Gachagua was telling us. Ruto was telling him while he was the DP. Mzee ametaka pesa. And the same thing he was saying, Ruto was telling him that Uhuru was saying that about Nino. So now that Raila is not there to actually use his supporters to destabilize or to make the country ungovernable, Ruto has to only worry about Gen Z. But when Raila was around, Raila was helping him through his supporters to keep the country stable. So when the Gen Z rise, when the Gen Z wakienda kwa streets, he's using Raila supporters and Raila's ODM politicians to convince the country that these Gen Zs ni wale tu vijana wa Mount Kenya, vijana wa Gachagua, wamelipwa na Gachagua. This is not a real tribeless, leaderless, partyless movement. Yeah, Gen Zs. These are not Kenyans. These are ni watu wa Mount Kenya. You know, he was able to do that, and he would use Raila supporters to also go to Nairobi CBD na waanze kuchapa wa vijana. Unaona? So I wish I can. Nimebaki na 20%. I would share the link with you, Nani. I'll have a second session in like 2 hours from now because I have to like run somewhere, but I'm finishing. But so sorry about that, Brother Benson. But yeah, so while Raila was there and was helping Ruto to deal with the Gen Zs, okay, Ruto had to do some restructuring in his in the military and is also in the police. Fortify, strengthen them. That's why we have new police recruitment now. And you can hear people are complaining that recruitment is only happening in happening in let me see this. Okay, you're saying something interesting. You say, my theory is the brother who took Baba for, since he could service the altar with blood, they took him out. Okay. All right, interesting. So yeah. So while Raila and ODM were in power, were joined the government, and the country was relatively stable, they were able to control the Gen Zs from having a successful popular revolution to take out Ruto. Ruto was strengthening the military. Ndio maana unaona anaendelea na military recruitment and all this stuff, okay? And he was also some recruitment to police and enforcing security forces, because ile June 25th, 2024 took him by a surprise. And this time he doesn't want to be surprised. So now that the country is relatively stable and he has is strengthening the military, he does not necessarily need Raila Odinga, because Raila Odinga, he knows Raila Odinga come 2027. Before then, especially since Raila Odinga has made it clear that his ODM will have their own presidential candidate. That means even if Ruto akishinda in 2027, Raila and the ODM shall negotiate for another what? Handshake. Now before that, we know the story. Maandamano before the handshake. And Ruto might have seen this and was like, you know what? Enough of this stuff. we need to get rid of Raila Odinga. That's my theory. That's theory number one. Please don't take this as the gospel truth. Like I told you, this is all me just talking about my opinion, okay? It doesn't mean that this is how it will happen, okay? All right? So I don't want not that I'm scared, but I'm just telling you guys. Okay? So, like I said, another theory is Givinji, aka Zakayo, took him out since he knew Baba Fua while Ruka him at the end, killing him when he was still on the side to him will inherited his support base. Okay, that's a good theory. Okay, so that's a possibility too. All right, like I said, with Nyanza, let me tell you something. Ruto's number one problem with Raila, I don't think it was about Nyanza votes. Okay, it wasn't about Nyanza votes. He knew Raila atamruka. But Raila Kimruka, it makes it more difficult for him to win the presidency. But now that Raila is gone, Nyanza will be split. I'll tell you why it will be split, okay? Some people will say some people within, okay, hold on, let me take this back. Let me explain this slowly. There are a lot of politicians, especially MPs or governors within ODM who know they are facing in 2027 wanarudi nyumbani. They know that. I repeat, there are a lot of politicians within ODM who know that 2027 they are not going to be re-elected. Their chances of being re-elected is slim because these are guys who they had to call Raila's name 5 times a day before they brush their teeth in the morning, before they take a shower. They have to say Raila Odinga ni baba ndio wakina Kaluma, Wanga, you know the rest, okay? These guys could not survive without holding on to Raila, okay? These guys were given direct nomination because they gave out money to Raila. Now in 2027, they are not going to be re-elected because they have done nothing in their constituency, okay? So Ruto will pounce on them because these are political prostitutes. I mean, ODM is a bunch of prostitutes, okay? I reach out to them, give them a bunch of money, okay, to sway some voters coming from Nyanza to vote for Ruto. Now, the goal is not to actually win the whole Nyanza province. The goal is to have a good number of votes from Nyanza province. It's not to win it. Because actually, and you know, probably Ruto can still win it because if you think about it, do you think the people of Nyanza will now vote for Gachagua, for example? Will they vote for Martha Karua? Will they vote for maybe Kalonzo, depending on how Kalonzo plays it, okay? Maybe Kalonzo. Because Kalonzo, he's not a very divisive figure in his politics, okay? He always plays the Mungwana, okay? So maybe Kalonzo, I don't know. But still, Kalonzo is never seen as an aggressive, your typical politician, okay? Then, of course, there's going to be a Babu Owino factor because the media is kind of, you know, they're kind of promoting him as the person who will inherit Raila's Raila's support base. Your support yale vijana ambao, you know, can make some noise. So it will be easy for Ruto to actually compromise, to get to Babu Owino compromise. That I'm Kalisha China mwambie, hey, listen, I have the tapes. You know, there's some things I can bring about you. You might not even qualify to run for governor. So Nyanza votes will be scattered. Okay, it won't go all Ruto. It won't go all in whatever the case is. Okay, so Ruto, like I said, he gains more with Raila now gone. Thank you so much for Raila. Raila is looking at Raila like, thank you so much for helping me stabilize the country after the Gen Z almost took me out. But your services are not needed anymore. Thank you so much. Good night. Okay? So that's the number one reason. Because if you look at it, Ruto, the other community that he has on his back that he can count on is the Somali vote. Okay? Then he can buy a bunch of people from Western. He can buy a bunch of people from Nyanza. These ODM MPs that are most likely not going to be re-elected. He will use them to campaign for him. Hao ndio utaona wakipiga makelele wakisema ati utawasikia wakisema Baba wanted us to stick with Ruto, so we continue to support Ruto until sijui nini, okay? And then there'll be their function where maybe wakina Sifuna will be like, okay, ODM, we are moving away from this broad base, whatever the case is. So you'll see this play out as we after Mazishi. Right now it's full of Mazishi, okay? So that's number one reason why I tell you Ruto may be a suspect number one as someone who would like to see Raila gone, because he might be looking at it like this. This guy helped me stabilize, saved me from Gen Zs, and we had relative peace, but now I have restructured and reorganized the military to be my main protection in case we have any maandamano, okay? And the police have also renewed them, maandamano. And again, this is also connected to that computer and that new cyber crime laws. Remember? Because I told you, the battleground in this fight of removing Ruto starts in the mtandao. Because Ruto has lost the ninio, the information battle at the mtandao. Easy propaganda na piga hapo kwa ninio through sijui NTV, KTN, Citizen are not working, are not enough. The real conversation, if you want to get the real opinions of Kenyans, majority of Kenyans, go to mtandao, because that's when everyone gives their opinion without fear of sijui nini. Nice seeing you, Clean Black Sneakers. I will stay strong. Thank you so much, Clean Black. Nice seeing you. Hit me that like button. I haven't seen you for a while. I'm so happy to see you. Okay? So that's where it's happening. That's why you see he has these laws. If you look at all these laws, they are designed, some of them are designed to actually give him an advantage. Because as we approach 2027, there'll be a lot of Gen Zs, okay, where they hold their discussions, where they hold their kamkunji, virtual kamkunji, is in the online. So he will be using his discretion. If he feels this is problematic, thank you. If he feels you say something that's is problematic on the internet, ndio hiyo utapewa fine ya 10 million ama 10 years in prison. Go look at that law, okay? Daichambua baadaye. But those are the things that I'm talking about. So Ruto he's covering his ground. Amefanya homework yake, amepass law ambao will affect how the Gen Zs communicate. Because listen to me, he learned something. Alikaa chini, he was scared. You guys gave him a heart attack on June 25th, 2024 with that Gen Z movement. And this guy was like, even ndio hao watu walifanya, okay, walikusanyika hapo mtandao, wakaanza kusema Ruto must go, wanatengeneza sijui AI pictures of me sijui being naked or whatever the case is. Oh, hiyo ndio walifanya? Okay. Sasa nitapitisha law ambayo inasema ukisema Ruto must go, 10 years ama 10 million fine. Okay? Alafu akaangalia akasema, unajua kwa ground, I don't have enough influence. Police are not enough to stop these Gen Zs. So, let me recruit more police. And not only that, I will recruit more army. Ndio maana wakapatia ile BBC Blood Parliament iwashtue useme ati majeshi itawaua. Mwanze kuogopa. Hata jana mliona Kasarani vile how it turned out. 8 people died. Rest in peace to those 8 people too. See what I'm saying? So he has taken steps to fortify his regime to a point where he does not need Raila Odinga. See what I'm saying? Raila Odinga alisemsaidia ka stabilize, ako fiti sasa, Raila you might go. Kwa sababu if Raila is alive, Raila will be a headache in 2027. He will pull the same thing. And he wants to have full control of the country. Ruto anataka kuwa the king of Kenya. So he wants this full control. And Raila being alive, he cannot have that full control because Raila is larger than life. He's above the law. Ukijaribu kufanya kitu, he'll just release his people and destabilize the country. And you cannot govern. Okay? So maybe he was like, you know what? Thank you, Raila, but no thanks. Ishia. All right? Number 2, the second person, Uhuru Kenyatta. Uhuru Kenyatta is also another suspect. I'll tell you why. I told you this is grand conspiracy, in my thing. Uhuru Kenyatta wants, number 1, I think Uhuru Kenyatta still is, the script that they wrote with Ruto, Kumi Yangu, Kumi Yako, is still on. I keep on referring to a video, a specific video that I keep on telling you. I'm trying to find it on the internet. I cannot find it. It was of Raila, of Uhuru Kenyatta. He was drunk somewhere in Central. He was giving a speech. He was addressing the crowd. And he was like, Kumi yangu, alafu kumi ya Ruto, alafu tutapea, then akasema kumi ya gacha, then he stopped himself. He was really drunk. He was pissed drunk. Okay? That video imepotea. Please, try to find it somewhere. So, if you think about it carefully, remember after the elections in 2022, even before the elections, remember Oburu, when Oburu was bragging, was like, we always win elections, but we don't have the system. But this time we have the system. Okay? Because he understood the power that the sitting president has. Uhuru Kenyatta was the president at the same time. Uhuru Kenyatta was the president in 2017 because Raila's handshake. Okay? But anyway, so Uhuru Kenyatta, who was said to be helping Raila to win the election in 2022, was defeated by Ruto. Do you think it was a fair and square win? Maybe. I guess so. But knowing, I usually pose this question to you guys. Okay? If you believe what we were being told running up to 2022, that Uhuru hated Ruto, that he couldn't stand him, and that's why he was mistreating him and all that stuff. If you think that was a real beef, do you remember when after election ilifanyika and Babu Owino started saying the long con game, and he even started accusing Ruto and Uhuru for playing Raila, because the first person Ruto employed when he became president was actually Uhuru, because he made Uhuru the top diplomat, okay, of his administration. What am I trying to say this? It might have been a con game. They might have played Raila, okay? Walimcheza Raila, but Raila always have the last laugh because Raila has what? He has his crazy supporters. He has the ground, okay? And you can't beat that. The system can't beat that. So even though they played Raila because, walimcheza, Uhuru alikuja akampromise, akamwambia, I went to support, don't worry, I'll support you, utashinda. Then he got defeated. Okay? But Raila being Raila, he was like, you know what? Okay, fine, mmenicheza. All right. Mina enda maandamano. Maandamano is always the key, okay? Akaenda maandamano to destabilize the government, and it forced Ruto to kufanya nini? Kunegotiate. You understand? So, that's why I'm saying this. Ruto and Uhuru, look at how Ruto has officially visited Uhuru Kenyatta twice in his Ishaweri home. And look at the interaction, how they were greeting each other. Ni watu walikuwa wamekasirikiana kweli? Walikuwa wamekasirikiana kweli? Absolutely not. Okay? So, Ruto and Uhuru may have been looking at Raila as, and he's impeding this plan of ours. He's impeding hii plan yetu ya kumi yangu kumi yako. Okay? Kwa sababu every time we want to do whatever we want to do, huyu jamaa anakujanga hapa anatuharibia story na hii maandamano yake. Huyu mtu wa maandamano. What are you saying? Huh? So he's saying, okay. So Uhuru and Ruto, in their grand plan of kumi yangu na kumi yako, the person who was impeding this was who? Was Raila. Because every time they wanted to, oh my goodness, my thing is dying. Let me finish real quick. Every time they wanted to continue with their ninio, their kumi yangu kumi yako, was it kumira kumira? Is that how they call it? Kumira kumira. Okay? Kumira kumira. Raila was always the person who is impeding, and he's on the way. He's an inconvenience. He's a nuisance. Na hizi maandamano na watu wengi wengi. Okay? So there might have been a grand conspiracy here. Okay, like I told you guys, our watu, they're always working together. They're working together. You know, absolutely clean black sneakers. Okay, so they might have been working together, and he's the second suspect. Okay, don't be fooled. All right, the third suspect that might played in this, who maybe had worked together with Ninio, with Ruto and Kenyatta, Uhuru, is the West. Okay, I'm the British High Commissioner. Now wengine wao. Wacha niwaeleze, let me explain to you how. You know, I was reading about the Nepal revolution. I was reading about the Nepal revolution. And there are people, critics of it. There are critics of this Nepal revolution. And they were talking about the possibility of the West infiltrating the revolution, okay? Using this revolution to actually what? To prop up their stooges, their puppets, you know? While walete their leaders ambao wanajifanya they are part of. In fact, I saw a video clip of some protesters in Nepal who are like, they were burning down the buildings. They're kind of like Antifa, okay? And then the Gen Zs came out and told them, hey, listen, we were having a peaceful protest. Why are you guys destroying property and all this stuff? What are you guys doing? Like, this is not what the revolution was about. Our revolution was a peaceful one. We were not out here trying to destroy things, okay? And you could see one of the financiers of this revolution was an NGO. I forgot the name. I think I said it on my other video. It was an NGO, a Western NGO that was actually helping, was funding part of the revolution. And if you know anything about NGO, just go read about what just happened a few days ago in Burkina Faso. Traore and his soldiers, they just arrested a member of the NGO and actually banned the NGO because the NGOs were actually spying. They were actually spying on the government of Ibrahim Traore. Okay, so we know about these NGOs. They are being used to funnel, you know, especially in West Africa. They are used to funnel weapons and cash in support of the terrorists in the north who are actually destabilizing Burkina Faso. So NGOs are notoriously known to try, are usually used by foreign intelligence to destabilize governments. I mean, go read about Mossadegh, how Mossadegh was taken down. Mossadegh of Iran, how he was taken down by the British and the CIA. These guys were using NGOs to prop up, to fund public protests. Okay, there's a book, like I usually tell you. There's a book called All the Shah Men, how Shah was brought in Iran. There's evidence there. They break it down how these NGOs work. Okay, so NGOs are known to be used by, whether it's Mossad, CIA, British MI6, to influence the country's or to spy on the country's political movements. So the third suspect, and you guys might be asking, why would the West want Ruto? Because Ruto seems to be their puppet. Okay, why would they want Ruto out? Now you have to pay very close attention. I was reading, I think his name is Julius Samboko. He always writes about finances and the debts that we have, the currency, how our currency is doing, and the economic health of Kenya, so to speak. Okay, and he said that Mbadi and among with the this Ruto administration, they have decided that they will be paying our loans by using the Chinese currency. Okay, we are going to pay our loans. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. We are going to pay our loans now in Chinese currency, not in the US dollar. Okay? Now, if you know the history, because if you start paying your loans in Chinese currency, that means in the future, you'll be doing a lot of business with China. Okay? Okay? You'll be doing a lot of business with China. And you can see the Chinese influence in Africa, especially now in Eastern Africa. Even in Kenya itself, we saw the videos of Chinese workers beating up beating up a couple of people. So you see, and this does not sit well with the West, okay? Because Chinese in the globe, if you look at the global now, if you look at the geopolitical chessboard, if you will, sub-Saharan Africa, Africa in general, there's a huge fight or competition in influence. It has been there since the day one. But the West versus the East, they're trying to have influence over African nations, given the fact that there's a lot of natural resources, how rich, let's say like Congo, Kenya, Somalia, Ethiopia. We know all about that, okay? I'm just giving you a short, my thing is dying, so let me get to my point very quickly. What I'm basically trying to say is this. The decision by the Ruto administration to now start paying the loans that we have, the SGR and every other thing in Chinese currency, that indicates to the West that, hey, you guys will be doing a lot of business with China because it makes it a little bit cheaper if you're going to trade with China, buying the goods, importing goods, because we do import it. We import a lot and export very few, okay? Very few things, okay? So that means that you have started looking at the East, okay? And that does not sit well with the West. Mbadi just left Washington this morning. Aliingia jana asubuhi or whatever the case is. So maybe he was summoned. Alipata a call from Washington DC, wakamuita huko akuja eleze what is going on. Okay? These are connected. And now what I'm trying to say is this. Because now you're wondering, let me be very quickly because my ninyo inakufa. Let me be very quick. You might be asking, how is it that the West what does that have to do with the West wanting Raila Odinga out of the picture? This is why I would say the West wants Raila Odinga out of the picture. The Gen Z movement, as much as it was an organic Kenyans, organic movement, okay? A movement that was based on the frustrations of majority of Kenyans. The West might have been playing a part in financing this movement, just like the Orange Revolution in Ukraine, like the Arab Spring, and other kind of popular revolution. This is there. There's a lot of books that are writing about this, how the intelligence, the CIA and MI6, they fund these different NGOs and fund popular revolt in different countries. So maybe, remember when Ruto was blaming the Ford Foundation for being behind the the Mandamano, when the Gen Z were trying to take him out, okay? Started protesting. Remember that. The reason why they might take, Walitoa Raila, okay? They were looking at it like this. They were looking at it like this. Even though they were funding the Gen Z movement to take out Ruto through a popular revolution, they might have not, because remember, let me give you another example very quickly before I explain. Remember the Madagascar president who have been removed right now, Uali Tolewa. Do you remember how he got into power? He got into power through a popular revolution that was funded by the French, partly funded by the French. The revolution happened. It was an organic revolution. People had real reasons to remove that president of the time, but aliingizwa hapo, funded by the French. Now ametolewa, akakimbia, ameenda Ufaransa. He was actually a French citizen too, partly in your double. So what I'm trying to say is this, not so many words. The reason why the West might have wanted to take out Raila Odinga. Raila was impeding a successful popular revolution from happening. Because no matter how because these NGOs, they reach out to Vale Vijana, and most of those Vijana are Vijana who are from the middle class, or, the educated Vijana who lives in the city areas, because they understand you don't need 90% of the population to be on the streets to remove you. You only need 3%, as we saw in Nepal. 3% of the population. Okay? So if you can get Nairobi, Kiambu, Kisumu, some parts of Kenya to be on the streets for 1 week, that is enough to take out Ruto. So these guys, they were funding this Gen Z movement in Kenya through the NGOs, the Ford Foundation and whatever the case is, but they could not succeed to take out Ruto because Ruto seems to be is not trusted by the West. And the reason why they couldn't fully be successful in taking out Ruto is because of Raila's influence, grip that he has, influence that he has that saved Ruto. So the West were looking at Raila as the main factor that is impeding a popular revolution to remove Ruto. So these three people, if you look at these three suspects that I've mentioned, they are all interrelated and they might be working in harmony to take out Ruto. Okay? Because Raila was becoming an impediment. Raila ni kama alikuwa, he was too big for his britches. If you understand the saying. Raila was like the king of Kenya. And that cannot sit well, especially if everything that happens economically or whatever, he wants to have a dip in it. If the West wants to take out Ruto and is impeding that, that is a problem. If Ruto and Uhuru want to continue with their plan of kumi yangu na kumi yako, and Raila is impeding this by dipping his hand every time at Yepi anataka kuwa kwa hii broad-based Yepi, and he's using the people, then here's the problem. He's impeding this problem. So anasema, let's take him out. So those are the three suspects that I will suspect if this grand conspiracy was true, that Raila was eliminated. Like I told you, the death of Raila Odinga the circumstances around it were not very clear. It's suspicious. I don't believe it. I don't believe the official story, but we'll go with it. Again, this video is not meant to divide anybody. For those Gen Zs and revolutionaries who are out there, like I said, the death of Raila is actually not a bad thing if you're a revolutionary, because, like I said, Raila was that one figure that was stopping some things to happen. Now, the downside is this. The downside of Raila's death is this. If we reach the next elections and we started having a post-electoral violence like we did in 2007, Raila will not be there to help put things together. He won't. Like him or not, he was putting things together. That's why we had relative peace. But again, he was taking advantage of the situation, the deaths of innocent people, to enrich himself, to enter into deals. Okay? And that's why some people do not like Raila Odinga. Okay? But I'm saying, whether you like him or not, conman or not, he kind of kept things together. So this time, if there's a popular revolution, okay, if the police cannot handle the people and the military cannot handle the people, then Ruto is done. But Ruto is depending on three things. Like I said, just to finish up, because my thing is dying. Commercial activists, and these activists are not just limited as in protesting in the streets. These are the people who are posting stuff on the X. They are propaganda, wanafanya propaganda kwa mtandao. That's why he brought a law. That way, at his discretion, he will determine whose account is to be taken down, who is to be jailed, who is to be fined 10 million. Ukisema kitu ambayo is not good for him, or mkianza kusema ati mnataka kwenda maandamano kumtoa. You see what I'm saying? It's interrelated because he wants to control the narrative on the internet. Because that's where the Gen Zs walikuwa napanga vitu. Number 2, police force. Ndio maana ameweka yule ninio mkubwa wa polisi hapo ni Mkale. Okay? The one that aliwa Ojuang or whatever the case is. To have his grip on the police force. Then his last line of defense that has replaced Raila are the military. That's why military is actually doing the recruitment right now. So nasikia recruitment inafanyika saizi. And people are complaining that the recruitment is only happening in Rift Valley, Uko, and some other places that are friendly. Tribes that are perceived to be friendly to Ruto's regime. But not other places. Okay? Because he wants to make sure that the military is strong enough, and if shit hits the fan, the military are going to help him. He's fortifying everything because he understands that now there'll be no Raila Odinga with his supporters to come and help me pacify any insurrection that may happen. Okay? So that is what is happening. And he might be working in tandem with his brother Uhuru Kenyatta back in Nenio with the behind the curtain. But anyway, ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters, friends, and comments, like I say, this is Grand Conspiracy. It's only conjecture on my part. It's just me thinking out loud. Do not take this to heart. Do not take it serious. It's just a way of thinking besides just the official story that we are being told. It might be happening. It might be true. It might happen. But again, I'll do my due diligence on what Ruth said about his help. Goody is saying, Ruto is beyond evil. The guy was not even cold, but forced the horrible bills through. Absolutely. And people are saying they're waiting for Raila to be buried, alafu tuanze kutumikia hii maneno ya bills. Like I say, I saw a clip of that Singapore Prime Minister, former Prime Minister of Singapore, where he said, if corruption is so much from the top to down, you cannot change the system by changing leadership. You have to have a revolution. And revolution is the only solution. All right? Anyway, guys, I will let you guys continue go watch the funeral procession of Raila Odinga. I think he's going to be buried tomorrow or Sunday. I don't know. But anyway, that's my take on this grand conspiracy. Who may want Raila Odinga eliminated? My name is Kenya Revolutionary. Thank you, Goody. I haven't seen you for a while. Clean Black Sneakers, thank you so much. I haven't seen you for so long. Alicia, Okinyo, nice seeing you. Sweeney was saying, let me see what Sweeney was saying. He said, bro, you wanted Raila Akufe. Why are you worried? I'm not worried about anything. I'm not worried about nothing. Never worried. I'm just saying. And by the way, I didn't say I wanted Raila to die. I said Raila needs to get out of the scene. Okay? If it means atoke kwa siasa, natural cause, atoke. That's what I meant. Okay? So whatever. But he's out. So what else is to add there? He's out. Anyway, guys, thank you so much. Like, subscribe, share, comment, and do all the good stuff. Follow me on YouTube. If you guys watching on X, go to YouTube. Follow my channel. My name is Kenya Revolutionary. Follow me, like, share, subscribe, do all the good stuff. Put the like button if you're already subscribed. Put the like button and put your notification on, so every time I come in, you can always get the notification that I'm in. Thank you so much, everybody. I'm out. Peace and blessings. I'll talk to you guys later. Peace.